everyone, welcome to the first episode of Dishcraft that we're going to go ahead and put on YouTube. I'm really excited to tell you about what we're baking today. First thing I'm going to do is get the monkey bread out of the oven that we've already completed. Oh yeah, look at that yummy gooey deliciousness. We're going to set that aside and let it cool down just a little. And while that's happening, we're going to get started on some more monkey bread. I'm going to show you the process of how to do this. Of course, since this is, live, I'm going to do this in stages. We're going to make our dough, and we're also going to start by making the caramel sauce that's going to go on top of the monkey bread. So, for the caramel sauce on top of the monkey bread, we're going to turn on the oven, or the stovetop, I mean. We're going to put in half a stick of butter. We're going to also do 1/4 cup of this awesome beer that I got from Liquid Mechanics. This is their Gingy Bee, so this is how we're going to make a gingerbread monkey bread using their Gingy Bee beer. So 1/4 cup, half a stick of butter, 1/4 cup of beer, and dark brown sugar. Now, if you've ever had gingerbread or made gingerbread, you know there's molasses in it. Brown sugar is made with molasses. I'm using dark brown sugar because it has more molasses in it. I'm going to drop that in. And we're just going to let that start to caramelize. While that is happening, I'm going to get out my trusty fork. Since I don't have a mixer, I'm going to have to mix this by hand. In this bowl, to make the dough, we're going to do 5 eggs total, 1 whole egg, meaning yolk and egg whites. And the eggs are room temperature. These are warm eggs. And the reason they are room temperature is because yeast likes to be warm. So we're just going to go ahead and get the yolks and drop them in the bowl like this. I'm going to leave the egg whites in here with the shells. You could certainly do something else with the egg whites if you wanted to. I'm not going to, and that's okay. Oops, that yolk broke on me. That's the one thing though, if they're warm, they will break, the yolk will break easier. The egg is a little bit more pliable. It's also going to help your mixture get a little fluffier. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to wash my hands real quick. I'll be right back. All right. So as this comes to temperature, that will caramelize. Here we go. So in the bowl, we have a little eggshell there. The 5 eggs. This is 6 tablespoons of melted butter. It started to kind of unmelt, but that's okay. It's still good. It doesn't have to be completely melted. So we're going to get all that butter in there. And like I said, if you have a mixer, certainly use the whisking function right here because you want to get this nice and fluffy. 1/4 cup of sugar. And this is where our beer comes into play again. Then we're going to do 3 ounces of buttermilk and 3 ounces of our Gingy Bee beer. Now, the beer is warm. Again, yeast likes to be warm, so we don't want to use cold beer. Also, the buttermilk is warm. Yeast likes to be warm. We don't want to use cold buttermilk. Okay. It's important to note that this is a recipe that I kind of stole from Alton Brown. I love Alton Brown, and he's an amazing cook, an amazing chef, and definitely a better baker than me. I'm not a very good baker, so I have to make this up most of the time. So I'm going to get it all mixed up. And then you're going to put in 1 package of fast-acting yeast. We're not using yeast that is, we're not going to use the slow rise. We're using fast rise, so it'll take about 2 hours. You still do have to let this rise. Oh, and this is starting to get melted down. So there we go. Get the yeast mixed in. Let it get happy. And then 2 cups to start flour, okay? You'll notice that we have a lot of extra flour hanging out here. And we're going to use this flour for the next stage. First, we're going to incorporate this. And as we mix this, you're going to need to lift up. You're going to take your, take your fork through like you're kneading it. Because if you had a mixer, you would have a kneading tool. Since I don't have a mixer, my kneading tool is my fork. So I'm going to keep going back and through just like the kneading tool would. Getting the flour from the sides. There we go. Most of it's incorporated. You add just a little bit at a time. And again, mix it in. Do you see how I'm doing that? Back and through till I get it all done, all incorporated. You see how it's getting kind of bigger and fluffier? We want it to do. Oh, here we go. Our caramel is starting to bubble. That's good. That means that sugar is getting nice and warm. That's what we want it to do. A little bit more flour in here. And once this is like not very sticky anymore, you can go ahead and use your hand and knead it in the bowl some, and then I'll plop it on the table here and knead it on the table some as well. This is a great like morning holiday breakfast because you could make this the night before the dough and throw it in the refrigerator. Take it out of the refrigerator and then let it come up, let it proof, cut it up, and then all you gotta do is throw it in the oven. And then when everybody crawls out of bed, they've got this nice, yummy, warm gingerbread to try. Yeah, getting close. A little bit more flour. And I have approximately another 2 cups in there. Now we're getting there. We're going to keep an eye on this caramel too because we don't want it to burn. I reduced my heat a little bit because it's really bubbly and I want it to be really bubbly, but we want to make sure it doesn't burn. Because nothing is worse than burnt caramel. It would mean we have to start it over. All right, perfect. So this is where I want it to be. So I'm going to take my fork out. And now I'm just going to start incorporating the dough, or the flour into the dough with my hands. It's nice and sticky still, which means I need more flour. So I'm going to dump more of this in. When I'm watching that caramel while I'm doing this, oh, this is good. There we go. Now we're getting there. Get some of this sticky dough back into here, into the bowl. Because I want to make sure, like I said, that this doesn't burn. I'm going to remove this from the heat in just a moment. Now, with that monkey bread that I took out of the oven, my monkeying around gingerbread man. Yes, there we go. Okay, let's take this out. Get some of this flour and stuff that's stuck on the bottom. Put it on the top here. Move this guy. Well, you want to let that monkey bread cool for about 15 minutes. And once it hits that, see how it's still sticking to the table? Can you guys see that? Hopefully you can. That means I need more flour, so you put some more in here. Awesome. And I'm still keeping a little eye over here. I'm watching that. Perfect. Look at this. This dough, now I've got it right where I want it. So I'm going to knead it for about 30 seconds. You don't want to overwork your dough. If you overwork it, you will end up with really dense dough. Okay, there we go. It's your nice dough ball. Now I have a bowl sitting over here I'm going to grab. And I've already pre-greased this bowl. And I'm just going to give this guy a couple little rolls around in the bowl where the grease is. We're going to cover him up and set him up for tomorrow. We'll have him tomorrow with more monkey bread. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove my caramel sauce and let it cool, turn my oven off, wash my hands. And now that I've gotten all of that off my hands, I'm going to just take and scoop this stuff back into this bowl. And we'll throw that out later. And then I'm going to show you the next step. The next step is, I've already kind of started it. This is some of our monkey bread in a bundt pan. Here is some of that dough. You can see it's kind of nice and fluffy, right? You can see how fluffed up that got. And then I have, this started out as half a cup of brown sugar, 1/8 of a teaspoon of cloves, and 1/4 teaspoon of ginger. And this is, oh, this sauce, guys, looks so good. And this is what we're gonna cut these guys into little equal portions. See how I'm doing that? Little equal portions. And then this gets thrown into my pot. Now, my oven is heating at 350, and then once you get this all together and you pour that caramel sauce on, this will take about 30 to 45 minutes to cook, okay? So we just get that in there, you give it a good shake, and just so you know, it is a requirement if you're making holiday, oh, mine came off. I've been shaking it too much. That you use a holiday bag, right? And you just throw these little guys in here. Yummy, delicious brown sugar. Remember, we're using brown sugar because traditionally gingerbread is made with molasses, and brown sugar has molasses in it. Good shake. And into the pot they go. And what's really great about this is this recipe is it doesn't have to look super pretty, right? Like, this is good enough, right? Like, no one's gonna come out and be like, oh, your monkey bread's all crooked, because no one cares. It just has to taste good. And it really only does take truly just a few seconds to get these guys in there. Get them covered up. Cut your next section, do it again. Try and make them somewhat uniform so that they bake evenly, but otherwise, it's not about aesthetics. It's about taste, right? Just want it to taste good. Okay. We're almost done. And like I said, you only need to let your monkey bread, once it comes out of the oven, you only want to let that sit for about 15, maybe 20 minutes. Let it cool down enough that you can touch the pan. And then once it's cool enough that you can touch the pan, we're going to flip it out. I'm going to show you that in just a second. Once we get these last couple guys in the pool. When we put this second monkey bread in the pot, I gotta tell you guys, it is a good thing if you know me, because I will deliver desserts and stuff like this, because a lot of times I have to do this in stages. Most of my cooking has to happen in stages, which means I have lots of extra, and my husband and I don't need to eat it all. Last couple going in the pot. Now, if you're wondering where you can find my recipes, they're on my Facebook page, Dishcraft. You can also find, you'll also see that I'm going to post once a week. I'll be posting next week. Oh, look at that, caramel sauce in. And now you'll notice I didn't grease the pan. Let me explain why. There's so much caramely goodness and butter in that, I don't need to grease the pan. Now this guy gets to go in the oven. Let's clean this out of my workspace so that you guys can see the next step. Yep, just cool enough to touch. All we're going to do is take and put the plate on this way, and then you flip it over. Ah, look at that. Couple good knocks. And there you have it. A perfectly cooked monkey bread. Enjoy. Now, if you do get a chance to, oh, I'll leave that over here. If you do get a chance to make one, I'd love if you shared pictures of it on my Facebook feed. And I look forward to seeing what you guys come up with beer. Thanks so much. See you next time.